Hey, Gopher fans, welcome back. It's another edition of our virtual State Fair meeting. Of course, we would love to be at the State Fair on the stage, seeing all of you in person. But since we can't, we want to give updates for all of the sports teams and sports organizations. And guess who we get to talk about right now? All of the different spirit squads on campus. And we have so many different ones and so many national champions and so many things to be proud of with all of that. And today we have some special guests on our virtual stage on our computer screen. And we're going to start by introducing one of the coaches, Christina Anderson, who is in charge of hockey. And Christina, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
I actually am also director of ops. I didn't mention that to you, but
great.
So I get to work full time with these guys too as well. So
yeah, you kind of oversee the whole thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, before we get into all of it, why don't you just give us a little synopsis of all the different units? There's dance, there's cheer, there's all kinds of stuff. Hockey's a little different than say basketball. How does it all work within the Spirit Squad?
Yeah, so our program has several teams that make up the Spirit Squad. We have the dance team, the hockey cheer team, the cheer team, which sometimes kind of splits up into a co-ed and a more all-girl group, and then also our mascot team, so Goldie Gopher. We are one of the biggest Spirit Squads in the country and one of the most successful nationally.
And you guys have how many trophies now in the trophy case? Because there's been a bunch of national titles.
Yeah, 23, I believe, is our total for the program. Leah, 19 for dance. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So we have a big history, and obviously Goldie as well. We would have invited Goldie, but he would have just stared at the screen, right? He doesn't.
I know, Zoom is a little tough for Goldie. He does get on some Zoom calls. Actually, we've had some requests for different corporate groups have requested him to come on for a surprise appearance and just to wave hello and surprise everybody. Spread some Gopher spirit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, none of us can spin our heads, so we won't be doing that here. Only we leave that for Goldie, that's for sure. But I'll introduce a couple of the athletes that we have with us. We'll start with Rogers. Rogers, good to see you. Tell us your role within this cheer squad.
So I am on the cheer team, of course, but I am a co-ed base, meaning it's just me and the top girl. And what we do is we hype up the crowd, we go to the games, we make sure everyone's having fun, we throw up stunts, and then we kind of just go out there, look good, and have fun.
So you're the guy with all the muscles.
You could say that.
What's your favorite part of being part of the team and getting to go to games and getting the crowd pumped up?
I think it would be like the energy the team brings, because once everyone hits the field, they're just so energetic and they love being there. Like, if you're in cheer, you love cheer.
Rachel, tell us your role and how much you enjoy it.
Yeah, so I am on the hockey cheer team. So basically we go to the hockey games Friday, Saturday nights, and we start off on the ice and we skate in between each period, and then we get off the ice, quick change, and we are off the ice in our off-ice uniforms and in the stands and interacting with fans and doing our cheers and stuff and, getting the crowd hyped. So it's pretty fast paced, but it's so much fun.
And then you guys kind of rotate around the arena too, right? Once you're off the ice.
Yeah.
That way every section gets a little taste of all the excitement going on, right?
Yeah, and then we usually end third period in the student section.
Right, exactly. And for you, it's a special skill as well, because it's not, when I say just, I'm not taking away the skills of the other folks involved, but you have to ice skate and not just, gimp out there. You have to be pretty skilled with what you're doing, because you are performing a few different tricks, right?
Yeah, so basically all of us on the team have been skating for a long time. I've been skating now for 15 years, and basically everyone else on the team has been skating long time, and a lot of us were formerly competitive figure skaters. And so we kind of have this mantra in hockey cheer that it's easier to teach figure skaters cheers than teaching cheerleaders how to figure skate. So
right, and it's amazing too. Goldie knows how to skate, so that's kind of cool to see Goldie skate at the games as well, right?
Yeah.
He's a talented Gopher.
Yeah, very talented, very talented. Leah, good to see you. And it looks like you must be in a dorm room. Is that right?
I'm actually in an apartment, but
well, I saw the bunk there, so saving space, right?
Yes, still have a roommate, but
Tell us about your role with the Spirit Squad.
yeah, for sure. I'm on the dance team. And so we cheer football games and basketball games along with the cheer team. We just don't do those stunts. So we're not doing flips or lifts on the field, but we're doing our dancing. And then we also compete at nationals in January, or what might be a different time this year. But yeah, so that's kind of what we do. Same thing, bring up the crowd, getting everybody loud.
Yep, and then obviously the work comes in the choreography and the timing and having everyone on the same page for an entire routine, right?
For sure, yeah. For nationals, our routines are 2 minutes long, so we work pretty relentlessly to get everybody to be on the same page, same finger, same everything.
When with the success that the dance team has had, and we mentioned all the trophies, do you feel some pressure to keep that up, and does that elevate everyone's game, so to speak, to go into a competition?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job at making sure that we don't think of it as pressure. Instead, like, let it fuel us and remember that each year we're a new team and that we all are Minnesota and we all represent Minnesota in a different way. But it definitely helps give us a little confidence boost to remember who we are and like the teams that have came before us.
Christina, I wanted to ask you about what the situation is now. Obviously, there are no fall sports happening, so no games to get to go to. Are you guys allowed to work out and still practice, and obviously still at the same time trying to be safe and all of that?
Yeah, so right now we're still waiting to hear about an announcement on winter sports. Because of basketball and hockey, our teams still have commitments there. We are waiting to get the go-ahead to finally come back and get cleared, which is a series of testing the athletes, and then they'll go through a clearance process with our athletic medicine staff. And then once they're back, we'll be able to get back to practicing. We'll kind of ease into it. So, you know, for a lot of these guys, this is the longest break they've ever had from their sport since they were, you know, little. So we're gonna ease back in and get practicing. We're not sure exactly what our year will look like. As Leah mentioned, for nationals, we believe the date is gonna be postponed from January. So we'll have maybe a little bit more time to prepare for that and just going on the ride with everybody else.
Rachel has trained as a skater. Leah's trained as a dancer. Rogers, did you have some skills when you came in to bring? And how did you get involved with it? Is there a tryout process, and how did that work?
Coming in, I had no previous cheer background, but the reason I got involved is freshman year, I had a roommate who wanted to be a cheerleader. So and when I went to the open gyms, the coaches are like, you should really think about trying out. Like, you have the size, where a lot of the guys that come into the program, they don't have the size. And I thought about it for a bit, and then I ended up going to the tryouts, and I made the team, thankfully. And my roommate, he never actually ended up trying out. So I was on the team, he wasn't. I would do all the games, and he would just be in the stands watching. And I've been here ever since, just improving myself and having fun.
Now, is your roommate hold that against you, that you probably swiped his spot?
He does not, no.
Now, did you play competitive sports? Did you have some background in that? And is that part of how you, you know, I mean, you have to obviously be in shape, strong, and I mean, I would guess you're doing some lifting workouts and those kind of things too.
Mm-hmm. My two main sports are basketball and football, and I would play there's a season I would play. And then coming out of high school, I didn't really think I would do anything. You know, I just thought I'd just be in college lifting weights and staying in shape. And then this opportunity presented itself, and I took it.
Rachel, obviously the hockey team goes by Pride on Ice. I would assume that the same motto or something similar goes with what you guys do, and that there's a bond and a chemistry that kind of builds as the season goes, and you guys practice together for a season and then perform at games.
Yeah, we kind of, in Spirit Squad, we kind of follow the same Pride ×3. Well, we have kind of Pride ×3 in Spirit Squad. So we have Pride for team, Pride for self, and Pride for the U. So yeah, we kind of follow the same kind of thing, and just kind of taking pride in everything we do and putting our best foot forward and giving 110%. So
Do you have a favorite memory of any specific game? And as you're performing, I mean, you guys have to concentrate on that. Are you able to really pay attention to kind of what's going on in the game, or is it you have to kind of glance at the scoreboard because there's a lot going on with what you guys do?
Yeah, definitely on ice. When we're doing our on ice material, there's like no time to sit and, you know, look around. I mean, we get on about 6 minutes before the games start usually, or 6 minutes before the period starts, maybe 10, 15 before the actual game. But we're just going. So there's not really time. But then when we get into the stands, there's definitely more of that time where, you know, especially if the play's running really long, while the plays are going, we sit down. And so when the plays are running really long, you kind of have time to sit and take an opportunity to look at the crowd, check out the game. I'm a huge hockey fan, so I definitely have to really focus on staying poised because when the game's going, sometimes I get really into it. But for me, probably the game that stuck out the most was when we played North Dakota over Thanksgiving. It was my 21st birthday, so that was kind of special. My parents were there, they made a sign for me, but that was the first time I'd ever realized how crazy the North Dakota fans were. I always thought Wisconsin fans were the worst, but we played that game and it was like a sea of green, and I had not expected that at all. So that definitely is probably the one that stands out the most to me.
Yeah, I was at that game too. Unfortunately, there was a lot of green in the stands, and we didn't play well that night. Although we rebounded and finished with a really strong year. But I remember that night as well. I was in the stands with my family as well, and we were paying attention more to you guys in the game after a while. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's the energy from the crowd too. That even if the game isn't going so well, if the crowd is just really crazy, it makes it really fun for us.
Yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely. And Leah, let's talk about how much work goes into a specific routine with a specific song, and how many maybe in a week or a month, or how often you try to change it to be fresh for a basketball game. And then, you know, the next week, maybe it's something else. And how long do you hold on to those? And then do you keep the good ones for nationals? How does that all work?
Yeah, so on a normal year, we go to camp end of July, beginning of August time. And there they actually teach us sometimes some end zones that we'll use for football. So we'll learn them there. We'll learn the choreography there. And then I'd say normally 2 weeks to a week before the football games, we're learning a new end zone. So football season gets pretty crazy. Those are normally only I'd say a minute long. And you're kind of learning a new one each week. And then once it's done, you're normally on to the next one. So pretty fast paced, always learning something new. And a lot of times we are choreographing them too if we don't have enough for the amount of football games. So you're kind of always moving, always learning something.
Yeah. And then how long is the national routine? And is it multiple numbers that you guys do?
Yeah. So our nationals routines are 2 minutes long, and we have a pom category and a jazz category. So.
Gotcha. So a lot of work goes into a 2-minute drill, and then you try to nail it, right?
For sure, yeah. You have semis and finals at nationals, and if you can make it past semis, you go to finals. But it's a lot of mental toughness and learning to kind of handle the pressure and hit it when it counts.
What was your background in dance? Did you go to lessons since you were young?
Yeah, I've danced since I was probably 3. I've danced competitively since about 2nd grade, I'd say. I went to a studio in Minnesota, and then I was at a high school dance team in high school.
Yeah, great. Rogers, how much time does the cheer squad that you're part of put into it a week? Where do you guys, on a traditional year, obviously things are all probably for everybody messed up where we're doing state fair Zooms on a computer as opposed to being at the state fair. But in a normal year, how often do you practice? Where do you practice? How many hours a week do you guys put in?
Ooh, that's a good question. Kind of what Leah said, normally during summertime we go to camp, and then we also have summer practices 2 weeks in a row and then 2 weeks off just so you can enjoy summer. And then when it comes to school time and practices, we practice Tuesday through Friday, and those practices are about 2.5 hours long each. So those can get pretty, taxing on the body, but if you rest properly, it doesn't really affect you too much.
And conditioning too, right, Rogers? You guys condition?
Yeah, we condition Mondays and Wednesdays in the morning.
Wow.
Well, that's when we lift and condition after practices sometimes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's a big commitment, no doubt about it, and certainly appreciate it. And in terms of hockey cheer, obviously you need some ice. So where do you guys go to Mariucci, Rachel, to practice your routines?
Yeah, we do all of our practicing on Mariucci during the school year. Sometimes when we have our summer practices in August, we're in Ritter for a little bit just because the ice isn't sometimes in Mariucci yet. But yeah, we're at Mariucci 3 times a week for about 2 hours. Last year was Tuesday through Thursday. I think this year it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe.
Got
So we do the same thing. We have lifting 2 days a week, 6 a.m. So those are a bit of tough mornings, but yeah.
Don't be late. Don't get in trouble. Got to be there on time, right? Christina, I was going to ask you, so you think about PJ Fleck will go out and watch a high school football game and recruit a player.
Yeah.
Patino will do the same, and all the coaches do that. Do you as well, or is it more of students show up and whoever tries out, or do you go
Yeah.
out and if you see somebody and say, hey, we'd like that person to be part of a cheer team, we want to actively recruit that person to be a Gopher?
Yeah, so we do a little bit of both as far as both recruiting and walk-on. Like Rogers mentioned, he would be an example of a walk-on athlete. We are actually moving more toward a recruiting model. So we're doing a lot more interaction with high school athletes, watching them from, a younger age and just, checking on their development and checking in with high school coaches and all-star coaches and studio coaches and different, skating coaches. We have several different, so our dance coaches sort of obviously watch the dance world, the dance industry. We have a couple of recruiting coordinators that work in our office for cheer. And then for hockey cheer, it's typically our coaches that are out in the community and checking and, monitoring skill as we go.
So it leads me to two questions. And if there are parents out there or youngsters watching that might want to be part of it and want to be the future, how do they get in touch with you to see if they might have a future? And two, if someone is on campus and was part of something, or maybe as in Roger's case, you just, hey, on a whim, I'm going to go try out. How can they get in contact with you as well?
That's a great question. So on gophersports.com in the Spirit Squad section, we have an interest form. There's for each of the different teams a different interest form, and people should go ahead and fill that out. It comes right into our coaching staff, to our recruiting staff, and then we can get in touch with them. It's never too early, so we do have people reach out to us, as freshmen, sophomore in high school, and usually, it's just sort of a touch base with them, and then typically more toward their junior and senior year, we get more submissions on there as well. And if you're a current student at the U of M, that would be a great way to be able to get in touch with our staff. So it's called the interest form on the website.
And do you get into some heated battles, like you're battling against Wisconsin Spirit Squad to get a certain athlete from, let's say, like Wayzata, as Leo was, or you get a hot recruiting battle there?
Honestly, yeah, I think with dance, Ohio State is sort of our, head to head. We go kind of, back and forth with them, and in cheer, Purdue and some of the other teams are Ohio State. We've got some really good Big Ten counterparts that do a good job. So, we do have to, reach out and get in touch with some of those athletes early so that we can get them to come to Minnesota.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, certainly one of the highlights of the fair, as long as we're talking here on our virtual stage, is the Gopher Day, the University of Minnesota Day at the fair, when all the teams go out there and you guys go out there and perform. Unfortunately, hopefully next year we're back to normal and able to do it. But Christina, do you like going out there and putting all the teams on display and seeing everyone react in such a positive manner?
We love that. And I think the athletes really like it too. It's a really fun chance to be a little bit more interactive with the fans and people who are hanging out at the U of M building. We always like that. Goldie's there every day, so he loves that. Pictures with Goldie and being on the stage. And, it's fun to be able to interact and get positive feedback from the fans. Just because our athletes are always, during game day, they're moving, they're going, and we do appearances throughout the year. So sometimes they do get to interact with Gopher fans, but that's always a highlight for us. So this is fun. It's good to be able to interact for the fair, but hopefully next year we'll be able to be back there.
Yeah, in person, no doubt. Rogers, do you like the fair when you go out? And if so, do you have a favorite stop, like a food stand or an animal exhibit or a show that you like?
I haven't been to the fair in about 3 years now, but the one place I always go to when I'm there, it has to be Sweet Martha's Cookies.
Yeah, you're in with a lot of people as we've been doing these virtual interviews. A lot of people have mentioned the cookies, and I always comment, when you're buying cookies by the bucket, they have to be pretty darn good. That's for sure. Rachel, how about you and the fair?
Yeah, I am kind of a fair junkie, so I kind of try and like make a whole day thing of it. But my food is probably the fried pickles. I don't know. I'm a big pickle person, but the fried ones are just really good. And then I love going and seeing the animals. My dad and I always go to Machinery Hill and look at all the tractors and stuff. And then I'm a big Halloween person, so I always try and drag my friends into the haunted house as kind of a little kickoff for fall. So yeah.
Yeah, so you have a whole routine down, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Leah, how about you? You're from Minnesota. Have you been going to the fair for a while?
Yeah, for sure. I try and get there every year if I can. I'd say my favorite food, probably like Rachel. I like the fried pickles. Otherwise, the cookies can never hurt either. So, yeah, those are probably my faves.
And Coach, how about you? Do you have a favorite stop when you go out to the fair?
Yeah, this is my first fair in 16 years that I haven't been there. So Pronto Pup, I think, is mine. And it's always right outside the U of M building. So we always have to visit the U of M building. It's always one of my favorite places at the fair. So
yeah, and one of the weird things is, are you mustard only, or do you mustard ketchup the Pronto Pup?
Oh, that's a good question. I am ketchup only, actually.
Ketchup only. So I think you're probably in the minority. I think for a number of years they only served them with mustard, and then it was only in recent years or more recently that they offered them with ketchup as well. But I always like they use a paintbrush like to put put it on. So
I'm gonna have to try a mustard only. Hopefully next year. Fingers crossed.
Next year, let's do it. Well, hey, it was great to get an update. Let's hope that everyone can get back on campus soon, that workouts can start, and the sooner the season can start and you guys can start getting out there, the better. But it was great to see everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. That's our virtual State Fair meeting. We're talking cheer and spirit squad.